Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So it's been a little while since I've actually done a build video, like a couple of weeks or so, just been busy with a lot of things and whatnot. Anyway, so Toxic Rain, Trickster. This is the build that I wanted to sort of get working to see if all the talk and all the build guides are legit. It's it's good so far. I'm enjoying it. Did take a little bit of understanding to get my head around how the mechanics actually work. Now, there's a lot of builds out there, a lot of guides, a lot of videos that say how easy it is to get this to work and such little investment required. Not all of that is entirely true. Yes, in early game you can get it cranking through the axe really quickly, and in fact, if you equip it with a quill rain, you can probably get up to Act 10 really, really quickly, as long as that you've got a 6-link quill rain, and you're relatively patient. But it's not as good without gearing as what people would have you believe. At least that's what I found. I've followed 3 or 4 different builds, got it up to like level 70 to 75. Still wasn't feeling that power spike that I wanted, with essentially relatively similar gear, which I found weird. It wasn't until I sort of realized that with this build, it's not so much about the gearing per se. Yes, it is, but it sort of isn't. It's more or less about the bow that you're running. In this case, this was to exalt this bow, and I'm out of currency. I have not been flipping currency for a bit. I have not been really farming for the last couple 2 to 3 weeks. Just trying out different build mechanics and burning through chaos and exalts, and then recycling that gear. But basically, the bow, you want to have plus whatever amount of whatever to gems as you possibly can. In this case, I've got a bow. I don't have any attack speed on this bow, but it's a thicket bow anyway, so you get 1.5% attack speed, which is good. This is only an item level 78 bow, by the way. It's got +1 to socketed dex gems, +1 to socketed gems, +1 to socketed bow gems. It's not the best possible roll that you could get. You would really want a +4 with a combination of the +1 socketing on the bow. You want attack speed and chaos dot. This one has 39% chaos dot crafted onto it, but if you could have the multi-craft for damage over time and chaos damage over time, that would give you more DPS again, and I'm aware of that. But for the sake of getting a decent build up and going, this bow is essentially a pretty good bow, I would deem. And this is basically pushing my level 18 Toxic Rain up to level 25. When I'm done with that, it'll be level 27, and that's what gives it its huge amount of power. That's realistically how this build is working for me, at least. Now, where are the other levels coming from? Well, there's an Empower. I'll put the POB in the description. The Empower is buffed up by the bow. That's giving that a level 4 Empower. If I had a level 4 Empower in there, potential is that they would give you an extra level again with a level 4 Empower, but obviously cost. Vicious Projectiles, that'll be level 22 by the time I'm done, and in the POB you'll see it set to level 20, and that'll be calculating up, which is where it gets to. I think so far the POB that I have, my own POB, is at 2.5 million DPS, including wither stacks, and that's that's Awaken at 8. Shaper DPS, or Cyrus DPS, whatever you want to call it. So amulet wise, the amulet I've got was dirt cheap. You can get so the key thing on the amulet is you want +1 to all chaos skill gems. That's what makes the amulet powerful. If you can get a roll that has damage over time or chaos damage or whatnot on your amulet, then all for you to do that. The helm, you want to run an Asenath's chant, and this one is, if this is working, this one's only like 1 exalt currently, so it's not too expensive. Basically, this lets you cast spells with your bow, and in this case, you're going to want Despair, you're going to want Contagion, you're going to want Soul Rend, and you're going to want Essence Strand. All these get buffed up by your +1 to Chaos skill gems that's in your amulet. Now, rings wise, you just want the the prefix crafted on for non-channeling skills have negative mana cost on both rings. My rings aren't really fantastic, but you're just going to be pushing health. You're going to be pushing resistances on your rings. In my case, I've got this ring here isn't great yet, but hey, it is what it is. On this build, I'm running a Maloney's mechanism. I know that this makes this build much more expensive because this right now at a minimum is 5 Exalt. Basically what that means is every time I shoot a bow skill, my Toxic Rain, it'll shoot out Caustic Arrow and it'll shoot out Frenzy. And then that'll generate my Frenzy charges really efficiently. Now, boots wise, this one was actually donated by Groovy Kid. So thank you, Groovy Kid. I really appreciate it. These boots, and by no means do you need these boots. These boots have Tailwind, and they also have Aspect of the Spider. For the purpose of this build, these boots are quite good. Now, I could get better boots with 30% movement speed. This build would absolutely zoom, and I might actually still do that, but I'll see how I go. They basically, I need Aspect of the Spider though, irrespective. And what Aspect of the Spider does is it increases damage taken to enemies around you, and it also prohibits enemy movement by 30%, or 30% speed reduction, so you sort of need that. Chest wise, dirt cheap chest. It's just a Kintsugi. Damn it. So they're about 2k, 1 to 2 chaos. The big thing here is 50% increased evasion rating if you've been hit recently, and because this character uses dodge mechanics, if you get hit, it's catastrophic, so you want to sort of avoid that. But and then I've just got a Dying Sun. Now, Cluster Jewels, still working on that right now. You pretty much want Wicked Paul on everything. Increased skill effect duration is what does more, assists in more dot. And then eventually, once I level up a few more levels, because I'm only at level 77, and by the way, I've got this doing T14 to T15 maps at this stage, and does it relatively easily. Then you want to run a Thread of Hope in this dual socket here. That's going to give you more resistances, and then you're going to want to take this Potency of Will and the Skill Duration gems as well, and that's going to increase your DPS further. That's not shown in my POB at this stage, but eventually that's what the upgrades will be. That'll probably get it to close to 3.5 million DPS in my POB. Endgame point, level 95, it should be able to get up to about 7 to 8 plus million DPS just with the current gearing spec, and then you can keep building on that and doing whatever you want to do. But this will basically get you started in getting this build working. So all of this will be in the POB in the description. I just wanted to stress mainly in this video that this is not as easy a mechanic as you would think to get it working. It's just not like a 5-second job or whatever. I think a lot of people drum that up. I know on my channel I tend to keep it real. Yeah, if you're on a budget, yeah, this build can be done on a budget. If you have a decent thicket bow, if you quality that up to 20% and you just chaos slam that, and I know I shouldn't be advocating chaos slamming, but if you chaos slam your bow, more than often, and what I found when I was mucking around with this, I chaos slammed like 30 chaos slam, more than often I got a +2 roll to socketed skill gems, or socketed bow gems. So it's not an uncommon roll to get on a bow. Otherwise you can do it through fossil crafting as well, that's also an option. I haven't looked at the fossil craft for it, but it shouldn't be too difficult to get that roll either. So it's not like it's an uncommon roll. You can get very cheaper bows. You don't have to buy a 6-link bow, but this one seems to work well for me anyway. Anyway, let's get into a map and I'll show you how this is going on a T14 glacial map. Just a basic T14, 20% quant. This is not at the stage where I would take this to Shaper yet. I'm not happy with it to be a Shaper, sorry, not Shaper, a Cyrus killer, but I'll get there eventually. So let's show you what it looks like. So, as you can see, dot damage, pretty good. T14, this is only level 77 by the way, so I'm still leveling a lot of gems up too. I know I didn't pick up those schmeckles, and I'll get flame for it, but that's all good. So like for a level 77 character where you haven't fully specced out those last 13 points before you get to 90, and gearing wise we still have some average gear on us, average being pretty nice about it. Health wise, health pool is pretty low as well, so we're gonna have to deal with that too. getting some flow of lives on my cluster jewels would definitely help that. But as you can see, as you shoot, you drop those dot spells that are in the helm, in the essence, and it just absolutely just melts enemies. Pick those up, get us to the boss. Hopefully not die. So dodge mechanics, as always, a bit risky. Can be a pain in the ass. Oh, gem GCPs. But I'll be honest, I'm enjoying this build. It's not bad. Yeah, all you do is when you're doing enough DPS, you just sort of hit once, and then your mirror arch or whatever takes over. So we'll smack these guys. And so how the pods do damage on Toxic Rain 2 is when the damage overlaps, that's essentially stacking. So here we'll drop, so we're running Wither on a totem. So that'll just continue to stack, and then you'll just continue to absolutely melt the boss. As you can see, maneuvering around is pretty easy. Pretty straightforward. What definitely one of the easiest builds I've played in a long time. Dot damage, one of the advantages is while you're moving around, you're still doing damage. That tends to be the problem with on-hit characters and different things like that. So there's no real requirement to be constantly in the fray, and because you can shoot from far away and your Mirage Archer is going to keep firing arrows, you know, you sort of can keep kiting and you can keep playing and you can keep doing damage while you're moving around, which makes this quite a versatile build. So I can understand why a lot of people say, oh, it's really easy to play. It's just maybe not as easy as they're letting on to play. But anyway, the POB will be in the description. If you've got questions about how to get this up and going, let me know. I'm going to flesh this build out and finish this build and probably get it up to level 95. I'm sort of really enjoying this build, so yeah. I would say this would be a league starter. With the current gearing, absolutely not. Like, you're not going to get a Maloney straight away. That bow, you probably can craft that bow pretty quickly up. These boots, no, you're not going to get Tailwind boots straight away. That's insane. And the essence, I don't know what the drop rate is this league start, but I would say this is actually this is probably a breach item or a prophecy item. But you know, it's not a crazy item. As you move into the midway through the league, you'll be able to pick that up. The dot alone on this does huge amounts of damage anyway, and you know, you could always get trigger on was it socketed skill or something like that, craft that onto the bow until such time that you get that, run these in the 6 link in the chest, and then run all these skills on your bow. So there's alternatives to get this working in different ways. You know, everything else is relatively straightforward. I don't even have the helm enchant on the helm either, so you know, having that +1 to projectile for Toxic Rain, that's going to increase your damage significantly too. But that's not included here too. So amulet wise, you're going to want to get corruption as well on there. So that's a red. Shut up, bloody thingo. So that's a crimson oil and 2 black oils to get that, and that's going to increase the effect of Withered, which is then going to buff up your Withered on your totem. And in order to get the totem working, I should have probably said this before, so you're going to want to run Spell Totem. Increased duration means the totem stays up for longer, increased area of effect, and Wither, obviously. And that's going to apply Wither stacks up to 15 Wither stacks, and Bob's your uncle. Don't ask me about these yet, I haven't applied them. If I was going to apply these, I would go the Pantheon. I would go Soul of Lunaris, and then I would probably want to go Rice Slyther, Soul of Rice Slyther at this stage. Yeah, mainly for the flask charge regeneration that you'll need more than often. You could always go Soul of Relicash as well. It wouldn't be bad. Yeah, Solar Grathcool is probably a bit overkill. Anyway, I hope this video helps. If you want to play a Toxic Rain character, this is a self-cast character. Toxic Rain Miner would be even easier, and I might do that for next league because it's quite powerful. But anyway, if this video helps you understand how to play a Toxic Rain Trickster, then like and sub. And yeah, until next time, bye.